afternoon. Welcome to Carlene and Carlene Network, and welcome. So start over again. Hello there. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon to all the grade 12 learners out there. And welcome to Carlos and Carlene Network. I'm your teacher for today in Creative Nonfiction. My name is Teacher Odie. And today I am quite excited and very much thrilled to discuss with you a new and meaningful lesson in Creative Nonfiction. And what is it all about? It's all about, yes, writing a critique paper. So, are you all ready to learn with me today? Yes? Yes? All right. Well, I do have a question for you then. Have you read a book in the past and you are quite teeming with ideas about the book that you have read? However, you don't have an avenue or you don't have an opportunity for you to share those ideas that you have about the book that you have read? Well, this is indeed the perfect opportunity for you to do that. It's because that is what writing a critique paper is all about. So before we have the main chunk of our discussion today, I'd like to tell you about the objectives that we have for today's lesson. So what are the objectives that we have? First, you are going to, yes, identify the meaning of a critique paper. And of course, you are also expected to understand the purpose of writing a critique paper, and definitely you are going to apply the principles that you're going to learn in writing a critique paper. So, let's all begin with the lesson. I did come up with an activity right here today. As you can see, this is what I call, yes, the light bulb moment. And what I would like you to do, guys, is that you are going to come up with words that you think, all right, words that you think that are quite relative or connected to the word critique. So you are going to think of these words that you think are quite relative to the definition or to the idea of writing a critique paper. So let's all begin with these, okay? So what we're going to do is that you are going to comment your answers on the comment section, and we're going to go back with those answers in a little while. So let's all begin. Oh, okay. So somebody did say book. I can see that word right there. Thank you for sharing that. Very good. And also, I can see here somebody saying, yes, analysis. Very good. Okay. So what else do you have in mind? Yes? Okay, so we are seeing right here the word observations. Very good. What else? What else? Okay, so I can hear someone saying, ma'am. Okay, so someone was saying opinion. All right, that is very good. Okay, so what else? Come on, keep the ideas coming. All right, so there you go. Very good. Critical analysis. What a big word indeed. Okay, and also I do see someone right here saying understanding. Perfect. Okay, and we also have somebody who answered review, and another one said examine. Okay. So very good with all those ideas that you have shared with me about your concept or about your own thought to the word critique. So what are we going to do right now is that you are going to take a look at these words that you have shared with me today, and we are going to proceed with our next activity. So the next task then is you are going to consolidate, okay? You are going to take a look at those full of words that you have given to me, and then you are going to come up with your own definition of a critique paper, and you are going to write that out on the creative nonfiction page that I have created for each one of you. So you can begin with your answers, and just like what I have said to you, you have to go back with the pool of words that everybody has shared a while ago for you to be able to come up with your own concept or own definition of a critique paper. So we'll be waiting for your answers on that part, okay? So now let us begin with the kernel points of our discussion today. So the big question here is, what is a critique? So a while ago, you did share your ideas about these one, but let's try to delve a little deeper on what really a critique paper is all about, okay? So get ready with all of these ideas that I'm going to share to each one of you. So what is a critique? So we say that a critique is a paper that gives a critical assessment of a book or an article. So I'd like to let you know about the underlined word on that definition. It is indeed a critical assessment, and we're going to get back to that idea later on. And also, when we talk about a critique, it also talks about, thorough reading. Okay, so later on, I'll be discussing with you as well. This is what I call the critical reading strategy, all right, or critical reading phase in writing a critique paper, so that we will be able to further expound what we mean by thorough reading. Okay, and also, I'd like to add that when we talk about a critique, learners, it's all about a systematic analysis of a piece of literature that discusses its validity and judges its worth. Okay, so as you can see, we have the word systematic, and later on we will be talking about the structure, we will be talking about the organizational part of the critique paper, and of course we are also going to talk about this, what we call the content, the validity of the content, and also the quality of work that you are doing, and the value of the paper that you are coming up with. All right. Also, you have to remember that when we talk about a critique, our main purpose here is not informational. Okay. So primarily, our main purpose right here is to come up with an analytic and a persuasive kind of writing. So we are going to connect these ideas later on as we come up with the principles of writing a critique paper. But of course, just like what I have said to you, remember that the purpose, the function, the role of writing a critique paper is to be more analytic and for you to be persuasive. Okay. And this time, yes, I'd like to highlight this point as well, grade 12 learners. You have to remember that if you are writing a critique paper, take a look at these, okay? You are going to analyze the content and the context of a writing. So this one is indeed very crucial when you are going to come up with a critique paper. And of course, just like what I have said to you a while ago, you are going to argue, you are going to persuade us whether it is worth reading or the material is worth reading or not. And I have some other ideas right here too. Remember that when we talk about a critique paper, it is also known as a critical response, a critical book review, or otherwise known as book review. All right? I hope you remember that, okay? And also, I'd like to highlight the point that when we talk about a critique paper, it is a thoughtful consideration after reading and after rereading several times, okay? So I'd like to connect that idea with what I have said to you a while ago, and this has something to do with thorough reading. Also, take a look at this one. It is a good review, all right? So you are going to come up with a critical commentary on the quality of the book. And again, just like what I have said, you are going to understand the purpose of writing a critique paper. Because you know what? The life of the critique paper is, of course, the way you are able to understand what you are able to read about so that you could be able to come up with a well-established standpoint or a well-established idea about your point or about your idea that you would like to share with the readers about the book that you have read. Okay. Also, this is very important, okay? So in any form of academic writing, just like, a critique paper, by the way, I would just like to reiterate with you guys, okay, that when we talk about writing a critique paper, this is a great example of an intellectual discourse in writing. It is an academic form of writing. And so if it is an academic form of writing, it is very much important that you are going to come up with the act of questioning. Okay, so as you read the text, you have to start questioning the text because you are trying to come up with an intelligent response about the text or about the book that you have read. Okay, so this is where your evaluation of the material and your critique begins. So again, I'd like to point out the main thing that I've said to you, you have to question as you read. Also, when it comes to questioning, grade 12 learners, listen up. When it comes to questioning, some questions to consider are the following. So what are they? The first one is, you're going to ask the question, what is the author's main point? What is the author's main point? What is the author's idea? Or what did the author come up with such kind of idea? So you're going to come up with that question, all right? And of course, the next one is, all right, I love this one. Okay, so you're going to come up with, the question, what points or assumptions does the author make, and how does he or she back that up, okay? So it means to say that, if you are coming up with a certain viewpoint, or you're coming up with a certain idea, you really have to come up with, a supporting detail. You're going to come up with all these ideas that will aid you for you to make your writing more credible and more interesting on the part of the readers. So you have to ask this question too, okay? And also, we have the question, what are the strengths and weaknesses? So why do we have to ask these questions? Remember what I have told you a while ago. If you are going to read a book, you are going to write a critique paper, it is very much indispensable or necessary that you are going to tell me the worth of the book that you are reading. And by knowing that, you are able to come up with the strength and the weaknesses of the book as well. Okay? Also, we have the question, is it worth reading? Does it have a value? We are going to talk about here the usefulness of the book, the usefulness of the ideas imparted by the author on that book. Okay, so these are the things that we could be able to relate to the question, is it worth reading? Okay, and we also have, this is what I call the checklist. Okay, so, I did come up with this checklist, grade 12 learners, because I know for a fact that it's very much important that you have a guide for you to come up with this, what we call an intellectual form of discourse in writing. And this is, of course, the critique paper. So what is this checklist that I am talking about? Let's take a look. So the first thing that you are going to consider if you're going to come up with a critique paper is that you are going to do this, what I call critical reading. Okay, I did mention about thorough reading a while ago. I did mention about the word comprehensive reading. Okay, so we are going to have the first phase of writing a critique paper, and this is all about critical reading. So how do you do that? How do we do that? Okay, so the first thing that you have to consider is that you are going to attentively read the literary work. Okay, so this is something that is commonly taken for granted among young learners like you. You do not put so much attention to the details that you read. You do not put so much of your heart to the content of the book that you read. So you have to attentively read the literary work, and of course you have to make note of it, okay? If it is needed that you're going to come up with an outline of what you are reading, then you can do so that later on you're going to have an idea about the sequence or about the organization of the book or of the ideas that have been imparted on the book that you have read. And of course, you have to point out which literary devices are successful. Some research and literary theory may be required. You know, this is what I call the prior knowledge. Okay, it's very much important that you can also be able to, connect the ideas that you've learned in the past for you to be able to expound the thought of that critique paper that you are presenting to your teacher or to the reader. And of course, you have to find out what you dislike about the text. And when we talk about these one, you have to talk about the controversies, the gaps, and of course, the inconsistency or, yes, the incompleteness of thought or maybe an idea that have been shared on the book. Okay? And this time, so after doing the critical reading, what's next? We are going to find or formulate the author's thesis. So what is this thesis all about? Okay, let's take a look at this question. When we talk about the thesis of an author, it talks about what is the principal argument in an article or what is the principal argument being imparted on the book. So in an article, it can be found on the introductory part of the paragraph. Okay? Now, also I'd like to add that, in a literary work, you have to formulate one of the principal themes as the thesis is not explicit. Now, let me go back to the word thesis, okay? In any form of writing, there is this what we call the thesis statement. In plain English, this can be called as the topic sentence. Now, when we talk about the thesis statement or the topic sentence, this pertains to the idea or the central idea imparted on the writing or on the book itself. Okay? So you have to be quite vigilant in knowing what the thesis statement is all about. Now, I'd like to point out about what I have said right here. Not all thesis statement is explicit. What do we mean by that? At some point, a topic sentence, a central idea, or a thesis statement can be implicit. So what do we mean by implicit? It is indirectly stated on the book. So you really have to be keen and sharp on how you are going to identify or know the thesis statement. Okay? Because it's indirectly stated on the book. So you have to be keen in knowing that. Okay? Unlike an explicit thesis statement, you can easily highlight, you can easily underline what the thesis statement is all about because it's directly stated. Okay? And also, I'd like to add that, on the introductory part of the paper, you can also come up with this, what we call the gist, okay? The summary, or this what I call the synopsis of the analyzed text, okay? But we have a little reminder to each one of you learners, okay? If you are going to come up with these, you have to be sure that you are only coming up with a one paragraph or just a short paragraph, okay? Because we are still on the opening part of the curtain, okay? If you don't understand what I'm trying to say, this is the introductory part of our paper. We're still on the introduction part, okay? And this time, take a look at these. Woo, all right. Okay, I love that one. Okay, so take a look at these. As you can see, this image is a depiction of what I have told you a while ago. So maybe you could be able to relate more if you're going to be able to take a look at this picture. And of course, we're going to proceed with the analysis of the text or analyzing the text. So after this, what we call the critical reading phase, you have to ask yourself the following question. What are these questions? As you can see, what was your emotional response to the text and which techniques images, or ideas made you feel so. All right? So I would like to point out once again that when you read, you really have to get connected to the book that you are reading. Because if you are not going to do that, you will not be able to answer these questions. Okay? And of course, you have to find out the author's background, which experiences made them raise such a thesis. And just like what I have said to you, it's very much necessary, very crucial indeed, that you have a prior knowledge about the author maybe, or about a certain idea, because this will help you outly on how you are going to elucidate or expound or explain your ideas in a wider scope. Okay? And of course, we have this one. Are the concepts used correctly in the text? Are the references reliable? And do they sufficiently substantiate the author's opinion? So you have to take note of these. If you need to highlight all of these questions that I have told you, please do so. Because this will enable you, okay, to become a good critique writer in the future, or maybe on the next task that we are going to do. All right? And we also have, okay, that one again, that baby, okay. And of course, we have right here, drafting the critique. So drafting means you're going to write a brief overview of the text that you are analyzing. You're going to formulate the thesis statement, okay. If it's in please it, then you're going to formulate one sentence that will contain your opinion on the work under scrutiny or a work under analysis. And of course, you are going to make a one-paragraph summary of the text, and please do not forget, you are going to use this simple template for the draft version of your analysis. So I hope, this will going to help you out on, coming up with your own critique paper later on. And of course, I would like to share this one to you that, okay, so after coming up with this, what we call the checklist or the guide on how you are going to come up with the kernels or the rudiments of writing a critique paper, let us proceed with this, what we call the organizational structure of writing a critique paper. So the question here is, how do you start a critique? Okay, well, in any form of writing, just like what I've said, we need to come up with the introduction. And the introduction might be as follows. Okay, so one tip is that you are going to indicate the book's author, all right, the title of the book, all right, and of course the thesis statement. This is indeed, a main ingredient that you have to put to the main dish, okay? So be objective and use the so-called evaluative verbs or evaluative verbs to power up your writing. Now, the question maybe is this: Madam, Mamaudi, what is this evaluative verbs that you are talking about? Okay, when we talk about evaluative verbs, these are the kind of verbs that are commonly used in an intellectual form of writing like a critique paper. An example of these are suggest, confirmed, imply, added, cite, support, approved. Okay, so those are the examples of evaluative verbs that you can add for you to be able to empower the idea that you are presenting on your critique paper. And of course, please do not remember, or please do not forget, okay, to be objective, because, it's always necessary that we have to be balanced when it comes to coming up with a critique paper. So, I have here one example actually of these, okay, so I got right here one of my most favorite English writers in literature. I got right here the father of English essay. This is Francis Bacon, okay, in his essay in Of Studies, okay, Francis Bacon argues that studies are used for delight, ornament, and ability. So this is one example of what I have talked about on the sentence 1. Okay? By the way, if you have some questions, feel free to let me know. You can type those questions in the comment section and I'll get back to you. And this time, if we are going to talk about the sentence 2, I'd like to let you know, I'd like to remind you that you could be able to include right here, the kernel point, or this what I call the recap, the encapsulation of the book, and of course, the purpose of the book. And going back again to what I have told you, it is very much important, okay, that you are going to stay unbiased and avoid details coming from your own. Although, it's a fusion of facts and opinion, I'd like to reiterate that you have to be balanced, you have to be impersonal, okay? There should be a sense of balance between facts and opinion if you're going to come up with such kind of idea. All right. And I'd like to share with you too, what are you going to do with the sentence 3? So if you are to come up with an idea in sentence 3, it's very much important that you're going to come up with a brief statement of your evaluation. Okay? A brief statement of your evaluation. So how do we do that? Okay? So it can be positive. What do you mean by that? When you want to praise a book, that is what we mean by positive. Or if you would like to come up with positive, negative, that is when you want to come up with, a little criticism on what you have read. And of course, we're going to offer suggestions on what might be done on the book, okay, or on the paper or of the author himself, okay? So I hope you did understand that point. And this time, let us proceed with organization. I'd like to tell you that when we say organization of writing, I would always love to say that it is like a fuel to the engine of your writing. Okay? Because you could not be able to run smoothly without an organized idea on your paper. Okay, so we have to come up with a well-organized paper. We need to come up with a well-structured form of your paper. Okay, and that is very much indispensable as you come up with the body of your critique paper. And of course, you are going to come up with the writing techniques and style. So you may talk about the techniques or the style of the author on his or her writing. Maybe you can talk about the word choices as well. This is what we call the diction in writing, okay? And of course, the style of writing, okay? So if you think that this kind of style, this kind of technique is quite fitting to the book that you have read, maybe you can also be able to talk about that or explain that on your body part of the paper, all right? And of course, this one is indeed very important, okay? This is the, one of the rudiments of coming up with a critique paper. You need to come up with an evidence, okay? Because this is a fact-based kind of writing. So you are going to take a look at the book. What are the evidences being mentioned on the book? What are the ideas mentioned on the book? And that will serve as your evidence, okay? On the standpoint or viewpoint later on that you will be sharing or expounding a little more on your writing, okay? And of course, the usefulness of that book or of that topic or of that writing shared to you. So when we talk about the usefulness, what comes to your mind? It's all about, of course, the function of that topic, the function of that book, the contribution of that book maybe, okay? Or, how does that topic or how does that book can contribute to a different field of knowledge? Maybe you can also talk about that, okay, on the body, or maybe some other viewpoints that you have when it comes to the usefulness of that book or of that topic that you have read. And of course, you have to decide on your angle. Now, when we talk about deciding of angle, just like what I have said to you, I've been telling these like a million times today. Okay, you're going to, come up with your own viewpoint. Come up with your own standpoint. Are you going to go with the black? Are you going to go with the red? Are you going to go with the blue? Are you going to go with the white? So it's all up to you. Okay? It depends on the way you analyze. It depends on the way you scrutinize. It depends on the way you review and examine what you read, just like what you have shared to me a while ago on your own definition of critique. And of course, let me emphasize that in a critique paper, this has to be critical and have some evaluation of the text, okay? And of course, if you are not going to do the critical evaluation, the critical assessment, going back to what we have said, you are just coming up with this, what we call the encapsulation of ideas, but you are not actually doing a critique paper. All right? So if it's just a mere summary, we could not be able to label your paper as a critique paper. It's because, some great spices of that writing are missing, and that is critical analysis and critical evaluation. All right? Now let's move on to, of course, the finishing touches, okay, of writing a critique paper. So this is on how you are going to write a conclusion. Okay, so how do we do this? You have to remember that for the final part of your paper, learners, okay, this is the paragraph wherein you are going to summarize, okay, and qualify judgments as well as offer your recommendations on a book. Okay, again, this is not just a mere summary. Remember that, okay? You're going to come up with your judgment. You're going to come up with your own recommendations, okay, about the book that you have read. Do you have a question? Okay, very good. Now, the next thing is the question, do you agree with the author? Why or why not? Okay. If your answer is yes, I do agree with the author, you need to establish all those viewpoints that made you agree to the point of the author, that made you agree to these ideas presented by the author. But if you do not agree, then you have to do it intelligently as well. Okay, you have to do it keenly as well, okay, so that you will be able to let the readers, okay, come up with this, like, they're like coming up with a magnifying glass, okay, like a magnifier for them to be able to know, okay, I think you're right, I think, I don't absolutely agree with what you have said. So, these are the things that you can add up when it comes to writing a conclusion. And also, what is your overall opinion on the book? Okay, the overall opinion. Going back again, okay, when we talk about coming up with your opinion, it should always be impersonal. It should always be non-biased, no prejudices, okay? So you are just going to let us know about what your ideas are based on what has been or what have been offered by the author on that book. Okay. And of course, okay, as we come up with all of those ideas on how you're going to come up with the structure of the critique paper, I'd like to give you a little reminder right here. And what is it? Okay, this is the one that I'd like to remind you about. A critique is a summary or not a summary. Let me repeat that. A critique is not a summary of the text. It also does not state, I like this book because it was interesting. I like or I hate this book. It's because it was boring. No, that is not, that is said to be a taboo when it comes to coming up with a critique paper. So it should be a more in-depth, okay, approach to what you have read, okay? And this time, of course, if you don't have a question, okay, I'm not seeing any question right now, I'd like to come up with a recap or the gist of what we have discussed today. So again, just like what I have said to you, during the onset of our discussion, I did mention to you about, the definition or the idea of writing a critique paper. And also, we did talk about, some important points or some important keys that you have to take into account for you to be able to come up with a critique paper. And also, I did provide a checklist for you. By the way, I am going to share with you that checklist that I talk about so that later on, as we come up with a task, you will be able to go back to that checklist for you to have a guide to come up with your own critique paper. All right? And then again, just like what I have said to you, we also discuss thoroughly, the important facet, the important parts of writing a critique paper, wherein, first and foremost, you need to come up with an introduction, followed by the body of the paper, and then followed by the concluding part of the paper. All right? And of course, I'd like to point out, by the way, also that, the idea that if you are going to come up with a critique paper, you always have to go back to your purpose. You always have to go back to the main reason why you are coming up with this critique paper. Remember once again that a critique paper is an academic, it is an intellectual, it is an intelligent form of discourse in writing. With that being said, I'd like to point out once again that you are going to come up with an intelligent response to the book or to the paper or to the writing that you have read. Okay? And this time, yes, let me do a little activity for you. So I did prepare a differentiated activity for each one of you. And since I do believe that, you have your own unique intelligences, grade 12 learners. So I come up with this activity, wherein all the visual artists will do a poster slogan and explain their work about the concept of writing a critique paper. And of course, for all the musicians out there, for all the musicians out there, you are going to compose a song verse, or a chorus about, writing a critique paper. And you're going to sing that composition, and you're going to sing, send me a video of your, of you singing that song on the creative nonfiction page that I have created for you. Okay? And for all the poets out there, all right, so what are you going to do? If you find yourself as a poet, then what you're going to do is that you are going to make a 2-stanza poem about a critique paper and recite it via video once again, and then send it in our creative nonfiction page or post it in our creative non-fiction page. And lastly, for all the actors out there, hey, all right, listen up. What you're going to do is that you're going to come up with a 30-second. Okay, I think that's enough, 30-second to 1-minute short skit along with a family member, So maybe you can ask your nanay, you can ask your tatay, your ate or kuya to join you, in coming up with these short skit with the way you have understood for you. Let me know and I'll be happy to assist you. And of course, I got right here the rubric for that activity. So I'll be sending this rubric on our group page, in our GC, and of course in the creative nonfiction page that we have, so that you will be able to have an idea on how you will be gauged or how you will be graded on these activities that I have talked about, or on the differentiated activity that we have talked about earlier. All right? And for this activity, this time, if you don't have a question, what I would like you to do, grade 12 learners, is that we're going to have a little testing of waters right here. All right, we're going to evaluate your knowledge with the idea or, the point of, the points that you have learned about with what I have discussed with you. So what you're going to do is that you are going to construct your own process or steps in making a critique paper. Whoa, all right. I hope you did, take down notes on all those things that I've talked about to you or we've discussed about a while ago. And of course, you are going to write your answer on a sheet of paper using, there you go. Oops. Okay, let me go back to that one. Okay, using the graphic organizer that I have right here. So all you have to do is to copy these one, and then they're going to provide me the screenshot of your answers and send it via messenger. I'll be waiting for your answers on these evaluation or on these activity. Okay? And for the assignment, oh, we have an assignment, madam. Yes, we have an assignment. Okay, so what you're going to do, guys, is that you're going to choose a topic from the following topics that I have right here. You're going to write an essay, okay, about your unforgettable travel before quarantine. And of course, maybe you can also choose about your greatest learning during this pandemic. And after doing that, you are going to do the critiquing part, okay? The main thing, why we are all here today, okay? So you are going to exchange your essays to a classmate, maybe somebody who's quite close to you, quite close when it comes to distance, like same barangay or nearest to your home. But if this one is not possible, what I suggest is you are going to send or have a picture of that writing, your essay, and send it to your classmate and do the critiquing or the peer review. And of course, you're going to use the questions for peer review that I have provided for you right here today too. And this is yes, okay. This is the one that we're going to use for you to be able to do the peer review. I'll be posting this one as well on the Creative Nonfiction page for you to be able to have an idea on what you're going to do as you criticize intelligently the work of your classmate. Okay? And of course, with that, okay, I hope you are able to understand all the important points, all the kernel points that I have shared with you. And if you do have some questions about, some parts of the lesson that I imparted with you today, please feel free to let me know and I'll be so happy to assist you. But of course, I'd like to leave you, all right, a little maxim right here that you can be able to use to have that dynamic impetus to go and write and share ideas about all of these activities that we are doing right here today. So I'd like to remind you about these quotation shared by Gabriel Polat, okay? And she said that no writer achieves success without the helping hands of others. And that is the reason why I am here today. We are all here today. All of your teachers in language are all here to help you. You have your classmates to share your ideas with or, collaborate your ideas with. So, these are the things that you can be able to do for you to be able to polish or hone your writing skill, specifically in academic form of writing. All right. So once again, thank you so much for learning with me today. My name once again is Teacher Odie of Creative Nonfiction class, and I'd like to share with you before I finally close the curtain for the lesson today. I'd like to share with you, my favorite Latin motto, all right, that says non desestas, non exeris. In plain English, it says never give up, never surrender. So keep learning and keep going. So once again, thank you so much for listening today, and I'll see you next time in our lesson right here at Carlos and Carlene Network. Good afternoon and God bless you all.
Hello everyone! Welcome to Carlos and Carlene Network, brought to us by San Carlos City Division. Yes, as you can see, a while back, I'm reading some news about our country. And I'm thinking deeply. I keep on wondering, based on what I've read in this newspaper, what is true and what is simply a belief. My dear learners, how are you today? I hope that you are fine, because I am very fine. Hello there, how are you today? I want all of you, my dear learners, to study more, read more, and learn more. So, come on, let's do a learning hunt this afternoon. Are you all ready? Okay, come on. Okay, let's do this. My dear learners, this afternoon, we are going to explore the world of English. I am your teacher, Janice Abon, signing in to this virtual class. And today is another day of fun learning. Join me as we explore the world of English. So let us be motivated, engaged, and involved. Next, we have here a game. We're going to play a game to keep you going. And we call this game 4 Peaks, 1 Word. Okay. Let us all be prepared for our lesson this afternoon. I am so happy to play with you, my dear learners, and find out how to play this game. You are going to find out what the word is from a set of letters given below the pictures. Are you all excited, my dear learners? Now, let us start. Identify what the photos imply. All you have to do is guess the word by looking at the given pictures. My dear learners, what do you think is the answer? As you can see in the picture, we have here Dr. Jose Rizal. Yes, our national hero. The map, the beautiful spot, one of the beautiful spots here in our country. And then the other clue picture is, yes, this so yummy adobo, chicken adobo. So, what is the answer? Correct. The pictures imply something about the Philippines. Very good. You've got the correct answer. Let's try this one. Okay. You have to think about this. From this moment, I would like you to think about these pictures. Here is a map of our country. And the other one is the flag of course, our beloved Philippines. What are the things that you know about the Philippines? Okay, let's move on. Okay, from this moment, let us have our activity by providing your concepts about what is all about our country. Okay, let's move on. All right. Okay, I would like you to meet now a virtual friend. Come on, let's go and have the exploration for learning. Let's go and get to know Maria. She is my virtual friend. I would like you to meet her. Join her also to search and learn some information about the Philippines. Okay? Now, we are going to join Maria on a learning hunt. Here are the 3 things that you need to do. First, you have to listen attentively to the informational text, and you may also choose to read it carefully. Second is to focus and concentrate on the text. And the third one is to remember the important details, because later on we will be answering questions. So let us listen to my virtual friend Maria. Okay, let us help Maria to read the text. Come on and join me reading. Philippines is a country located in Southeast Asia. It is an archipelago made up of more than 7,100 islands. Yes, I want you to know that the people living in the Philippines are called Filipinos. Negritos were the first inhabitants of the country. Since the prehistoric times, I think that Filipinos are amazing and the most hospitable people in the world. The Philippine flag has 3 stars that symbolize 3 sections in the country, which are Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Philippines has the best natural resources, scenic and historical places. I believe that Philippines is the best place to spend vacation. A lot of tourist spots can be seen, visited by local and international tourists. The Philippines has a tropical climate and there are abundant natural resources. I think that beautiful places and good people make it more fun in the Philippines. This time, let us check your understanding. So, let's find out what you have learned from the informational text that you have listened to. Okay, the first question, what is being talked about in the informational text that you have listened to? Okay, I can now see your answer. I can now see your answer is correct. The informational text is about the Philippines. You've got the correct answer. You have unlocked a chest. Now, who were the first inhabitants of the Philippines? That is my second question. Yes, correct. The first inhabitants of the Philippines were the Negritos. Great job! You got a treasure hunt. Next question, what do the 3 stars in the Philippine flag symbolize? Great job! The 3 stars of the Philippine flag symbolize the 3 sections of the country, which are Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. This time, think about what is the most interesting thing that you have learned from the informational text. Fantastic! You've earned a treasured chest. All right, learners, I hope that you will always show and express love for our country by being a good Filipino citizen. Okay? And great job, learners, because the most interesting lesson learned from the text is to show love and appreciation to our country, and that is Philippines. Okay, Now, let us read and study the sample statements taken from the informational text that you have listened to. We have here column A and column B. As you can see, fact and opinion. Fact for column A and fact for column B. Let's start reading the two sentences. Okay, let's read the first column. Philippines is a group of islands located in Southeast Asia. The second one, Philippines has a tropical climate. Let's proceed to the column B. Yeah. Okay. In column B, I believe that Philippines is the best place to spend vacation. And then the second one, the second sentence, please read. Okay, in the second sentence, we have, I think that the beautiful places and good people make it more fun in the Philippines. Okay, class, let's think about this. What do the sentences in column A express? Okay, think it over. You've got it! It expresses true and correct information about the Philippines. You're right. How about in column B? What do the sentences express? Think it over. That's right. It expresses belief or personal feeling about the Philippines. Class, I would like you to know that the sentences in column A are what we call facts. And the sentences in column B are examples of opinion. Learners, I hope that you are following through with our lesson. Okay, let's give another slide for you to learn more. Okay, class, at this juncture, let us now differentiate fact from opinion. Let's start with fact. Always put in mind that factual statements can be proven. Okay? As you can see on your screen, in the given example, on your screen, it says Philippines is located in Southeast Asia. Given on the map, Philippines is indeed a part of Southeast Asia, along with are other countries like Singapore, Thailand, and Cambodia. Let us proceed with the second example. Philippines has a tropical climate. That's correct. As you can see on the given illustration, Philippines do experience dry and monsoon or rainy seasons. At present, we are experiencing rainy season. So let's go through with the next slide. This time, let's learn about what an opinion is. Look at the given examples of opinion. First, we have, I believe that Philippines is the best place to spend vacation. Look at the encircled word. As you can see on the screen, the encircled word indicates personal belief. The word is believe, okay? And the next example, I think that the beautiful places make it more fun in the Philippines. In this example, the encircled word is think. From there, you may identify that this statement is an example of opinion. My dear learners, aside from the words believe and think, there are other clue words which may help you identify if the statement or sentence is an opinion. Words like feel, probably, and seems are other clue words. Keep in mind that an opinion may vary from one person to the other. Okay, let's move on. I know that you are all very excited to have this kind of lesson. So now, let us see if you already know how to distinguish fact from opinion. Okay, read the direction. Okay, let me help you. Read the sentences carefully, then identify if the given statement is a fact or opinion. Okay, learners, if the letter of your answer turns green and it produces a chime sound, it means that your answer is correct. If it turns red, then you need to think more about your answer. You have to think more about your answer. So, let's get started. Okay. Number 1, there are 12 months in a year. Yes, the answer is fact. You've got it. You can see the 12 months of the year in this illustration. Okay, look at the illustration. Come on. Okay, so the answer is fact. Next, chocolate ice cream tastes better than an ube flavored ice cream. Oh my goodness. What is your answer? Yes, the answer is opinion. Because not everyone will agree with you that a chocolate ice cream tastes better than an ube flavored ice cream. Okay, so let's proceed to the next given example. I believe that San Carlos is the best city in the Philippines. The clue word in this sentence is the word believe. So, what is your answer? The answer is opinion. That's right. Okay. Next, the sum of 5 and 7 is 12. What is your answer? Correct. Your answer is fact. If you are going to add and count the numbers, it will be equal to 12. So that is correct. Now, children, remember that what do we mean when we say fact? Okay, exactly. When we say fact, it is an information that is true and can be supported by evidence. Also, fact states reality, meaning it happens in real life. Okay? And let's read the examples. A dog has 4 legs. Second sentence, red and blue are colors. These are examples of fact. Okay. What do we need to remember? What do we need to remember when we say opinion? Don't forget, class, that an opinion is only a belief. It is based on one's feelings and it can differ from one to the other. The clue words think, believe, feel, probably, or seems may indicate that a statement is an opinion. Okay? Examples of opinion we have here. I believe that my mother cooks the best chicken adobo. And the second one is Mobile Legends is the most fun mobile game. Okay, here you are. Class, why is it important to be able to differentiate fact from opinion? Think it over. Okay. Yes, always remember that we need to differentiate fact from opinion so that we can avoid misleading information and fake news. You may obtain factual information to the following credible sources like encyclopedias, almanacs, and books. Okay? Let's proceed to the next slide. I hope that you are learning with Teacher Janice. Next, I know that you can do this activity. Because me also, I can do it, so you can do it. This time, to test if you can distinguish fact from opinion, let's answer an activity. You can do it. Okay. You have to read the paragraph carefully, then identify the sentences if fact or opinion. I like to take a walk every day because it makes me feel more energetic. A vigorous walk makes my heart beat faster. A doctor told me that during exercise, the heart pumps more oxygen to the body. Aside from this, I enjoy walking because it makes me appreciate nature more. The sights and sounds along the way makes me really happy. Okay. So, you are now ready to answer the following activity that I prepared. My dear learners, are you all ready to answer the following activity? Okay, come on. Here are the sentences that you are going to answer. Okay, let me see if you got the correct answers for the following sentences given. You have to identify if the sentence that states here is fact or it expresses an opinion. Okay, I like to take a walk every day. The answer is opinion, correct. I feel more energetic after the walk. So the answer of a grade 5 learner is opinion. Yeah, correct. And the third one, the heart pumps blood throughout the body. Yes, the answer is fact. I enjoy walking because it helps me appreciate nature more. Your answer is opinion. A vigorous walk makes the heart beat faster. So the answer is fact. Okay, I hope that you got a high score for this activity. Now, I'm going to give you assignment, additional task for you to really learn more. For your assignment, here's what you're going to do. In your English notebook, write 5 sentences stating a fact and 5 sentences stating an opinion. Okay? So, thank you for joining me in our fun learning adventure. Grade 5 learners, although we are physically distanced, I hope that you learned something good for today. Stay safe. Again, this is the virtual class of Teacher Janice signing off. Thank you. Bye-bye.